Okay, so we've got to normalize a table. We're going to this is the table. It's oftentimes you're given a report and they say this is the data we got, and this is an example of it. This is the data we've got. The report has these fields in it: doctor name, specialty, date, patient you are, patient name, procedure name, charge. And we've got to think about what is the uh, uh, what is the what how would you normalize this database? What would be the proper way of normalizing this database? So we're going to take those things and paste them into a little Google Docs here. We're going to data. We're going to split them. Split text to columns. We want them to be into commas. Great. So now we've got all our names there. And I think I'm going to have to make the font a bit smaller to fit it all in. Great. So I hope you can see that. Good. Well, you have to look close. So doctor name, specialty, date, patient you are, patient time. So what is the interfield dependency? What kind of dependency do it? For example, what is one line of that table? What does it mean? What is that thing? So it says a report, but what is the thing there? So the thing, is it a doctor? It can't be a doctor. So we've got two of them, and Dr. Smith has both knees, so we can assume that those two are the same people. Dr. Johnson is the specialty in elbows. The date is some date of something. There's a UR number. Usually UR has something to do with patient. So a unit record number is what it is. So that's a patient. So it probably belongs to patient. Procedure name and charge. So one thing to do is to look at it and say, what is the smallest, what is the most detailed level of this table? And so the most detailed level of this looks like, well, it's not patient because it looks like, because a patient could have two different types. So I would say that most detailed level is this idea of a procedure. So there's this idea of a procedure. So that's the kind of the most detailed level. And now what goes with procedure? So we're going to say we'll call it. So instead of calling this a report table, we'll call it the procedure table. We know that down here below we're going to put in the names of the tables. The procedure table. What goes with the procedure table? What is at the same cardinality, the same instance? So whenever you have an X, you have a Y. So what kinds of things goes with a procedure? A procedure has got a charge. So do you think, so now we have to start thinking about the business rules. Is the charge related to the procedure as it is in Australia, where you have a standard set of charges, or is it related to the instance? Now we have to start thinking about. So is procedure something that, so procedure is like there's the type of procedure, which is knee surgery, elbow surgery, and then there's also the instance of surgery. So which is like this person got this kind of surgery at this point of time, at this date, for example. So procedure can go into procedure type table. And let's say charge. There's a standard charge. It's also always good to, when you generate a table, to do it in the most generic way, so that the simplest way, so that they can come back to you later and change it. So you get, so we're saying procedure. We're going to say that there's a standard charge, and just to make it simpler. So that's in the procedure type table. So again, the normalization often comes at the end when you look at your tables and you say, "Is that correct?" But one thing, as you can see, is that it's not. It's not in first normal form because there's no primary key. That's one thing. It doesn't look like there's any repeating groups. There's no repeating groups across. You don't have Joe patient knee surgery, hip surgery, different surgeries they've had. It's all in one line. That's a good thing. But it doesn't have a primary key. There's definitely some interfield dependency. For example, doctor name and specialty, that's the doctor's specialty. So Smith and knees should be in their own separate table. UR number and patient name should be in its own separate table. So we'll have to take a few goes at this to get it quite right. So procedure type, we're going to put those two together in a table by themselves. We got rid of those two. Patient number and patient name should be in their own table. So we'll call that the patient table. The date. So what's the date an example of? The date's an example of the surgery. So we'll put that in the surgery table. Surgery instance, but we could let's call it the surgery table. A surgery is also going to need information about the patient and the procedure, but generally those would be foreign keys. So we'll put it in there as well. We'll use patient UR as the primary key. We'll use patient procedure name as the primary key, even though it's probably not the best primary key, but just for now. And we also need to know. We probably need to know what doctor had the surgery. Again, the doctor name would be. So let's get the doctors into their own table. The doctor table. Doctor table and the doctor. Great. So now we've kind of got three tables there. We need some primary keys. So let's insert a few primary key fields. Doctor ID. That goes in the doctor table too, and it also goes in the surgery table. Now we've got all this information with the surgery, so it seems like that pretty much gets everything. So now I guess the only question is now you've got to go back to the business owners and say, is the charge directly related to the surgery, to the procedure, or should it also should it be just a function of the surgery? It probably should be a function of the surgery, so we can get rid of that there. We could yeah, and so now we probably could get rid of the procedure type table, except for we really probably should have a procedure ID there, just like we should have a patient ID. And we'll put that in the procedure type table. And so that should go into the surgery table instead of the procedure ID. So that's a primary key. That's a primary key and foreign key, and that's a primary key and foreign key. Great. Actually, I should just underline that. So do all our tables have primary keys? No, the surgery table doesn't have a primary key. So you could have date and patient as a primary key if you only are going to have one surgery, but probably, again, you're going to have a surgery ID table, ID. And that's also in the surgery table. So they shouldn't be bold. There should be italics there. So that's the primary key there. That's the primary key there. Great. So that's pretty much it. So the doctor table has got doctor ID, doctor name, specialty. The surgery table has got surgery ID, date, patient UR, and procedure ID. The procedure table has got procedure type, procedure ID and procedure name. The charge is related to this. There might be a suggested charge in the procedure ID table, but that would be a different field. That's pretty much it. Is that what that's the good question. So the charge is determined by procedure. So the assumptions that the early assumption was the assumption I have in the text is what I had before. The charge is determined by the procedure. So then that should be up there. procedure. Patient may visit a doctor more than once during the same day. So that means we do need a surgery ID because the patient can visit twice. What are the lists of things? We've got a list of doctors. We have a list of surgeries. We have a list of patients. We have a list of procedures. So we've got a doctor's table. Yes, we've got a patient's table. We've got a visit table. Yeah. So what did I do here? Oh, I said that a patient can go to a doctor more than once. Why did I do that? Yeah, I don't think we don't need that. We don't need the treatment table. Good. So the second time I did it, this time my final would be doctors has got I can probably just copy and paste from there, really. Patient code name. What did I call it here? I called it surgery. It's got a surgery ID, a doctor ID, a patient code, a date. Yeah, we don't need treatments, and yeah, procedure. Good. Yeah, so as you see, I do it twice over a space of a year, and I come up with a different solution. So there's not always one solution to it. It all depends on your assumptions. This assumption, I have a simpler set of assumptions, and so that's the kind of thing you got to do when you're making databases.